2024. And being March the 14th, 2024, it also allows for us to engage in matters that concern, politics, current affairs, and concern our lives in general. One way or the other, all of these issues, they come to a confluence. And one way or the other, if I'm not affected, you are affected. Or if you are not affected, your friend, your family, your neighbor, somebody, if not all, are affected by it. I mean, it's no news anymore, the fact that there has been some abductions here and there, kidnappings here and there, and all of that. And to this end, the president has come out to make a pronouncement, if you like, an announcement that says there'll be no more ransom payment for kidnappers or to ensure victims' release. Topic of Tinubu's no more ransom and announcement and the fight for victims' release. It's no news anymore how many children have been kidnapped. That's talking about the 287 school children in Nigeria. That's last Thursday, and in total, 700 persons have been abducted. Now, gunmen who had kidnapped these 287 school children in Nigeria have made some demands, calling for a 1 billion naira, a ransom payment, and they've threatened to kill all of the students if their demands are not met. And a member of the local community has gotten to tell that to international, news agency CNN. But then this is already getting critical, and just on the one side, whilst that is being, becoming the statement that's taking the rounds right now, the presidency or the president has also come out to saying that, look, I am not going to do any ransom payments anymore. There are no monies to fund ransom. It's time that we begun to take into cognizance the lives of Nigerians and to ensure that the release of these school children, is indeed met, right? And it's done by the security chiefs, by all the security agencies, by all the security personnel. All of you must come together, as he read to them the riot act, right? But then let's hear from the president as he made that that statement right there, and find out exactly what it was and how it was that statement was being put out right there, because it's indeed very, very pertinent to hear it from the horse's mouth. Let's take a listen.
Be paid. The president has directed that security agencies must, as a matter of urgency, ensure that these children and all those who have been kidnapped are brought back in safety, and also in the process to ensure that not a dime is paid for ransom.
The federal government is also counting the game.
All right, so that is it, and that if you heard already from the president, the horse's mouth right there, saying that, hey, it's high time we stopped all of this because there'll be no more payment of ransom. But it brings some concerns that at a time like this, when we have over 700 persons being abducted or kidnapped one way or the other, that such statements, even though positive, might indeed incite a very negative reaction from the bandits or the abductors of these persons who are Nigerians, and it really calls for concern. But while some are saying that it's just what the president needs to do, is something that needs to be done, others are saying that it's a wrong timing to make such a statement. Even if the statement was it should be evidenced in action and not just made as a statement, as such statements may be careless and might cause some uproar in the camps of these or in the minds and hearts of these kidnappers or abductors. But then we'll look into this topical issue not alone, as we'll be connecting with our guest who via phone call, who's in the person of Benedict Olalekan Agunloye, right? He's an information professional, policy and public affairs analyst, and we'll have that conversation with him right now in a short bit. Keep in mind that this is the Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. We give you a radio experience that you can count on anytime, any day. So in trying to connect with our guest, let's also identify or put it together what concerns you may have with this pronouncement at the time, and what you think about that pronouncement, and do you also feel that the time has come for us to indeed make such a strong statement, especially to these kidnappers and abductors here and there and bandits, telling them that, look, party time is over, tea time is over, it's time for y'all to down tools, put down all your weapons and come clean, and just maybe there might be some redemption for you. And do you also think that redemption might just be the way forward, as some are already calling for the capital punishment in this regard, citing that these persons have committed some crimes, and these crimes has not been one that supports humanity, and so the capital punishment might just be the concern. Well, we're connected to our guest in the person of Mr. Benedict Olalekan Agunloye, is an information professional, policy and public affairs analyst. Welcome to the show this morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you, Mr. Benedict. How are you doing, though?
I'm fine.
Yeah, and how are you coping with the hardship and, of course, the incessant news of abductions and kidnappings here and there?
Well, the incessant news of abductions, I would say, are depressing.
Right.
And are indications of the lack of safety in the land.
All right, so lack of safety in the land is what it is. Let's go straight to it. I mean, the president has, through his body language and through pronouncements, said that there will be no abductions, ransom payment anymore to kidnappers, and he had done that while reading the Riot Act to security chiefs as well as security personnel and agencies and all of that. But looking at that, pronouncement in a time where we have about 700 persons in abduction, and the very stern warning and emboldenment that the kidnappers of the 287 pupils or students at Kuriga are having, what do you make of this?
Well, there has to be a stop to some level of madness. No responsible government should actually sit up to accept, to negotiate with criminals. In all the format of operation of the bandits, they are plain criminals. They've got nothing. It's not an ideology. They are not representing anybody. They are in the business of criminality. And I think that the government, as a representative of the people, is right to take a position on no to payment of ransom.
Well, some have said that it is the responsibility of the governor of any state where abductions have been carried out to ensure that the safe release of those who have been abducted in their state. But others are saying that the governors are like lions without teeth in making sure that they sought the release of these the abductors. Now, what the abductees? What do you think about this?
Well, I think that comprehensively there should be a new position in place rather than running extra skater after every abduction in the name of seeing what to do to get them released. There is a safe school program nationally which involve the different security agencies, which are supposed to involve the locals. And I think that the earlier we put these actions in place and begin to get them to work, the better for everybody. The schools, especially those located in environments where there are no network, possibly will need to have something done to them. Because in each time we talk about response, each time we blame the security agencies. Now, when it takes 5 hours for you to get across to security agencies, because the school is under siege,
Right.
there is no network, so it's not like somebody can hide in a place to make a call. So it means that until the siege is over and somebody is able to leave the environment, then you have to travel before you can make a formal report or any form of report at all. It's not palatable. So right now we should be talking about how many schools are located in environments where there are no telephone networks. What are we doing to ensure that networks can be in place? If over 50% of Nigerian land are form of communication, the telephone communication in this modern time, I think it is not good enough. So our focus should be, how do we get information out from those places when there are issues? What are the things that we can do proactively to also ensure that these criminals do not have free ride and free run around our schools? The number of schools that are not
Hello, you there? Okay.
You want to step or you have a trench at strategic. Now, trenches put down can be movement, and that way you are sure that it can be a measure of what? Discouragement to people who may want to come around to do mass abduction, because there will be only 1 or 2 exit points from the school, which will not.
Okay, but can I? Yeah, yeah. Can I come in there? Yeah. Are you there? Can you hear me? Okay. Well, but
I'm here.
Yeah, there is this thought that says that this war, should it? Do you think the war should be more of the war against insecurity, right? Do you think it should be more prevalent on the security chiefs in terms of military? I beg your pardon, the military, rather than the police system. I mean, some are saying that it should be a policing system or a policing job or responsibility. Others are saying it should be a military responsibility.
You see, the reality is this. Let's take a small scenario of a home. If there is a little water spill in the house, you call one of the children to mop it, is it not?
Right.
If it becomes bigger, perhaps the mother would have to join. But where a flood enters into the house, whether it is the father or the mother or the children, everybody should get involved. Right now, we're in a crisis situation. The police can handle the streets, but we don't have enough police strength to run the forest.
Right.
So whether it is civil defense, every paramilitary, the police, the hunters, we need to get everybody on board. Define the level of involvement. Define the rules for each person. And then you would now be sure that, okay, maybe the hunter's job is just to gather intelligence. Okay, I'm hunting in the forest and I saw this movement and I think it's strange. And then he has a means of getting that to the community leader or to civil defense or to police. Police evaluate and think this might be beyond our immediate response. Then they can talk to the nearest brigade commander or to the Air Force and say, look, this is happening. But obviously, we have too many ungoverned spaces.
Right.
And I don't think that the police we have as of today has enough strength to police the street before you talk about policing the forest.
That being said,
so there may also be There may also be an immediate need for the government to work at actually having people who guard the forest.
Okay. Forest guards, right? Okay, well then, that being said,
something like that.
Yeah, that being said, do you think that we have the capacity to surmount this insecurity that we are facing as a country today?
We do have the capacity to surmount it if we make use of all that is available at our disposals. If we will make judicious use of our men and the trainings that they have received, if we will deploy people based on competence and need and not based on who they know and the funds available. People talk about posting in the Nigerian security system based on they tell you one posting is lucrative, the other is not lucrative. We need to de-emphasize your earning being based on where you are. Rather, a uniform template where wherever you are posted, you just do your job. And then you don't feel inferior to your friend who is in Nema or who is somewhere in the south collecting whatever. So when we can effectively utilize the men we have, their skill, deploy them appropriately, ensure equitable distribution of the available weapons and facilities, and then we know where the deficiencies are and we can meet them up. But as for capacity, I think our capacity is not in doubt. But our operational deployment may not be good enough at this moment.
All right. As for capacity, our capacity is not in doubt. Let's put a peg to your thoughts. Open the phone lines. We'll get back to you and engage the conversation further. Right. Well, the conversation is still trending, and we still have our guest who's joining us via phone call. He's in the person of Benedict Olalikon Agunloye, and you also want to add your voice to this. Let's know your thoughts. 0907-353-0044 or 0908-766-8888, and the WhatsApp portal number is 0909-705-4450. You can engage across social media platforms as well, as we have a strong presence: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok at Eagles FM Abuja, right? And yes, it is still in no news the fact that there are certain margins that has come to play, and one of such margin is the fact that the doctors or the gunmen have come out to, first off, at first they'd come out to asking for a ransom payment that was even bigger than the Nigerian budget. And this time, a new development shows that they are saying they want a 1 billion naira, and they have threatened to kill the students if their demands are not met. And it just goes on, to telling you, what effrontery these bandits have, to facing the government, looking the government in the face and saying that this are our demands and our demands must be met. Well, a further inquiry into this whole, unpleasant situation also revealed that these bandits or these gunmen are somewhat angered that by the way some of their kingpins and friends who are in the same line of business have been dealt with, either killed or either arrested and have not been released, and this is to them a way of paying back. The government is more like a retaliation to the government and the people meted out there, and because they are not happy with how some of their friends and colleagues have been treated, but then it also brings us to the place of, if indeed we have the capacity in terms of military power to match the insecurity or the banditry or the kidnappings that is ongoing, question would be, what exactly are the Air Force or strategies, what strategies are the Air Force doing to ensuring that we're able to capture these bandits. It's one thing to talk about, having to trace the bandits. It's another thing to talk about air surveillance. And to you, Mr. Our guest right there, to you, what do you think? Do you think that it will be over-laboring to saying that the Air Force should do more in this regard, knowing fully well that we may have some disadvantages in terms of network providers and all of that in some of these areas, as some are already saying that surveillance might just be the key? What do you think?
Well, surveillance obviously is key and it's important. Our forests are known. The boundaries are known. Now, the need is to take it a little further, which is we have the maps. Divide it. Like we said, if possible, make deliberate landmarks, create deliberate gaps, such that instead of the forest being somebody being able to go 7, 8, 10 kilometers unidentified, let's have a pathway. Maybe divide if you are moving from this district of the forest to that. And when that is mapped, then it becomes possible to localize movements within the forest. But when you can jump into a bush, into a forest, and you are there for 8 hours and you will not see the daylight, then it becomes impossible for any area surveillance to correctly determine what is happening down there. So obviously we need to do more in how we design the current forest. We might need to make some little adjustment. We might need to have some pathways created so that there could be easy movement for troops that may want to do surveillance. There will be possible detection for area shots, because people talk about technology this, that if you bring in drones that might work in environments where there are no forestly within the forest zone, because you can't bring it low to the trees. You actually don't know who is under there. The drones can also even be shut down for to now begin to look for where they are located. So obviously everybody, like I said, needs to be on board, from the task to the Army and the Air Force. They all have to be involved in the effort to ensure that the forest is well managed. All right. 287 students have been 287 students have been kidnapped. Definitely, you have a number of people must also be monitoring them. So it means there are not less than 300 people moving. They've gone into a forest. That forest have exit points. So in the immediate also, it should be block off the exit points. The reality is that from those forests, they must come to the street to get food, and that way you can keep them there. And I'm sure that they do not. The bandits want to collect money and spend. Criminals don't want to die. So for that reason, if we have them cut off from supply, you can be sure that in 3 or 4 days they would come down on terms.
Yeah, but it has. Yeah.
They will.
Okay. Now, there has been some fears that has been allayed that the presidency should, or the president should not repeat the mistakes of his predecessor, as an Islamic scholar in the person of Gumi had come out to saying that, look, negotiation is the only way out of the insecurities that we face. What do you think, or what do you make of this?
Well, I think that for me, that is an empty threat. The security forces in the land have the capacity to do the job. They should be made to do their job, and not a Gumi negotiating on behalf of the nation. The nation is not interested in negotiating with criminals. Criminals are meant to be kept out of circulation. in the first place. So somebody even something for them. In my opinion, by now even the Gumi himself should be under surveillance.
Right.
For me, because if he is accusing, if he's, for me, what he has, the statements he has made is insulting the former president and trying to blackmail the current, which is not correct. Nobody should be seen to be speaking for the bandit, especially somebody who carries the image and the office of representing God in any form.
All right, let's take a break, go pay some bills. When we come back, we'll start taking calls and taking your reaction. Stay tuned.
No offense to the commercials. It's just that we want to see other audio.
Eagles 102.3.
Hi there. Do you want to know how to get the correct approval or documents for your land and property? Do you need the right information on how you can prevent your building from being demolished? Then tune in to Town Planning Program on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja every Thursday by 5 p.m.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
I suppose it was inevitable. Eagles 102.3.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is Eagles Outlook on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. And yes, we are talking matters to concern or matters arising within the Nigerian space. And we have our guest who has connected with us via phone call. He's in the person of Mr. Benedict Olalekan Agunloye, is the information professional policy and public affairs analyst. And we've been talking about Tinubu's No More Ransom announcement and the fight for victims' release. And the conversation has been trending in the sense that the special advisor to on media and publicity to the president in the person of Fajurin Galale has revealed that the federal government was receiving support from the United States government for the release of the students and teachers as well as the IDPs. So we got a call. Let's take this one. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Yes, please.
This is Moses. Yeah, I think I want to thank your guest. He has made some justice questions. And we Nigerians, there is one thing that we are demanding. There is no any existing community that has no head. There is no any existing crime that has no leader. Any existing crime, there must be a leader. That is it. So there are people who might be with it. Look at the sophisticated guns they have. Who are their sponsors? Look at how they network to make their plans to come into the city, to commit, go. I think there are people who are sponsoring it. Another thing again, if we have not discovered who their sponsors are, we are fighting the battle of them. Another thing again, who are their informants? You know, their informants are living with him. Is that not so? So until the sponsors and the informants being discovered, this battle can stop. That is my take this morning. So if the government wants to fight this battle, get their sponsors, get their informants, and another thing again, when you get these people red-handed, pass justice on them. Sometimes these people, they say they give them orientation, then you push them as terrorists. Terrorists are people that you need not to know them because terrorists have entered into their blood. So when you see somebody committing a crime and you let him go, you discover that it will even give advantage to some who want to enter into such crime, and they will continue with it. Then finally, as Nigerians, the government is fighting the insecurity, they should find a way to deal with this unemployment in our society. That is one of the major challenges that even put some of these young boys, they brainwash them to join these people. When these boys are coming out with millions and they are excited in joining this kind of a thing, and they have divided themselves in a different group whereby you don't even know who is who. So until their sponsorers are dealt with, then this issue can, I think, can stop for a while. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Right there. And Mr. Benedict, what do you make of this? I mean, the caller right there said that these kidnappers, these bandits, are too organized, and it means that there must be a head spearheading or showing them or directing them. Do you think in line with the caller?
Well, I agree that they are organized, but I also believe that the government have enough capacity to break the system. In the past, we've got very good intelligence system where from local to the federal level, the government could get details of what is ongoing. So for them to have people working with them and working for them, and the system does not, our intelligence system,
right,
we are not doing enough.
Okay, let's put a peg to your thoughts.
Like I would always say, it is not that we do not have the men, but it is that we possibly are not using them correctly.
All right, let's put a peg to your thoughts.
Against that.
Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning, Dr. Udwak.
Good morning to you.
Yes, my name is Omotayo, reaching you from Galadimawa.
All right, Omotayo, welcome aboard. Let's have your take.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. You see, on this issue of this national security that has possibly at this point is dragging on the floor. I mean, has got us to where we are right now. You see, let me first start by saying, what is the worth of a normal grand soldier? How valued is the grand soldier to the government? Does the government value the grand soldier? Is his morale being taken care of? What is his pay? What is his take-home pay? How is his family faring? You see, when you say people should come and die for a country, I just want to put an eye to the place of the common soldier. Yes, when you say somebody should come and die for the country, it means the country itself should be ready to go a distance for that person when you die in active service. Today, when soldiers die in active service, how honored are they? What do you think their people go through before they get even the pay that is due to the family? And by the way, honorable. Now, you see, for these criminals to be this bold, Doctor, let's tell ourselves the truth. These people have the backing of either some part of the government or almost the entirety of the government. How can you tell Nigerians, as wise as we are, in kind of pain that we are right now, that 280 something people, including the hoodlums themselves, the kidnappers themselves, over 300, for God's sake, disappear into the radar, and we have been acquiring gadgets upon gadgets for warfare, spending billions and trillions on insecurity, yet those gadgets cannot find these people on our radar. For God's sake, what kind of economy, what kind of nation are we actually brooding? And they want us to believe that they don't know where these kidnappers are. One of our past leaders, I can't remember who exactly, but you will know who I'm talking about. He said, if insecurity persists for more than 24 hours in this nation, Nigeria, he said it means the government has a hand in it. The government know about it. This is about how many days? Look, and then the president is coming out to make an very, very unthoughtful statement that they are not paying any ransom to bandits. Yes, I don't support paying ransom to bandits, but my honorable Udwak, sir, if armed robbers come to your house with guns and everything, well loaded, and they even shot to the air so that you know that their guns are not empty, and then they're holding you at your blockhouse and they tell you that
Omotayo, you might want to censor some of the things.
Holding you to a tight corner. After taking all you have at home, they know you have money in your account, but they can't access it at that point in time, and now then they tell you that we will take one of your son or one of your daughters or your wife along with us, but by tomorrow, so time, or by next tomorrow, please pay. You have to pay certain amount so that we don't, so that we can return your daughter or your son or your wife. Not pay that sum to that ransom to the armed robbers. Are you going to outrightly there tell them that I will not pay? Are you going to openly tell them to their face that I will not pay? That my daughter, that my son you have taken, whatever you like, do to him, I will not pay you the ransom. Are you going to do so, or you are going to strategically agree with them there? When they go, you cannot strategize with the police or with the agencies that is supposed to protect your, help you recover your family back. You know, on how to get these family members, probably during the period of trying to pay the ransom or however. Is that not what you are supposed to do as a country? The president is not supposed to announce on air, just the same way he was not supposed to announce that subsidy was gone. He's not supposed to announce on air that he will not pay ransom. That was a statement completely unthought of, properly thought of, because at the end of the day, just like it happened during the Kaduna train abduction, they ended up paying the ransom when they opened first said that they will not pay the ransom. Do you understand? Don't get this. What if these people get angry and begin to shoot these innocent people in the bush? They already have given that statement already that they'll begin to kill them. So no, what I'm saying is the government know what to do, but because they are gaining from it, because the generals are earning.
All right, Omotayo, understood. You've made your point clear right there. And back to our guest, Mr. Benedict. You've heard, most of those submission from the callers right there. What do you make of it?
Well, I think I heard him right. President is the president of the nation. So he should be in position not to give the bandits also an impression that if you ask, the government will pay.
Right.
So telling them the government is not interested is also a way of lowering their expectation. Because if you say the government is interested, then the government have money, and so they can make noise and the money can come quick. That's one part of it. But the other option is the analogy he gave. I think I disagree. Somebody in your house holding you is different from somebody who you don't even know his location at the moment. So we've seen individuals who don't get the police involved. They pay the ransom and eventually the kidnapped victims still get killed. Is it not? We've seen that cases in the last 2 years where ransom was paid and eventually the victim was still killed. So the reality is that we need to focus on, one, what do we do to prevent future abductions? Then, of course, two, I'll keep insisting, how well are we utilizing the skills and the potentials of the men that we have? We are a nation with some of the best brains in the world. So it means that whether it is in the police or the army or the air force, across our agencies, we have the thinkers. The thinkers should be allowed to think and then come up with what we need to do to deal with the forest and handle these issues once and for all.
Well,
if you pay back, okay.
Yeah, after the Federal Executive, Council meeting right there, the Minister of Information in the person of Mohammed Idris had come out to reiterating the President's directive to the security agencies and even the Ministry of Defense to ensure that children that have been abducted by criminals and these gangs are brought back to their homes safely. And but some are saying it goes beyond just making the statements. Do you think that there should be more to be attached, to just these statements, which has almost started to become a rhetoric in Nigeria, in the fight against insecurity, in the fight against kidnappings and banditry and abductions across the country?
Well, I would say yes, there are actions in place, there are people in charge of the different operations, but perhaps we might need to have a new means of directing operations across the forces.
Right.
It is not just that somebody is there as a brigade commander or as a joint troop commander for 1 year. No. It might just be a function of after every 90 days, you are changing the field commanders. Right? After every 90 days, you're changing the field commanders. So each person coming with a new approach, and they are not, because in the present moment, number of people see operations as business. It's an opportunity to make money. So when the money idea is there, you don't even want the crisis to end. Right? You don't want the crisis to end. But if we make it something that you know, and like I said, when somebody mentioned about remuneration for soldiers that die in active service, whether it's the soldier or the army or anybody that died in active service or in the service of the nation, ought to be properly incented. And besides that, you ask the question, when our men go to UN operations, why are they considered the best? Because there you are allowed to do your job the way it should be done. The tools are provided to the person that needs them. But when you are back home, even when the tools are available, the tools are not with the right person. Because you won't, before you talk about drone. As a whole, how many helicopters have the police? I used to know that in some part of Taraba, even if you have a forerunner, you are likely not going to be able to patrol. Do you get what I'm saying? So we know ourselves, we know our terrain. We need to address our issues. And like I said, we should address the cause, right? And build a solution, not trying to remove the cause, right? When you know the cause, I think the process in solving, you gather information, you identify the cause, you remove the cause, you fix the fault before you test run. But what we are always trying to do in our own cases, for every incident, you want to fix the fault without bothering to address the cause. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we must focus more on, let's gather all the information that we have, a lot of which I think are available with the security forces, allow them to talk, not defend. I've heard them coming out. No, it's not defending your position. Tell us plainly, right? Especially in their own forum. Tell us what the challenges are. My terrain is not navigable. So we know that your patrol van are not useful in the event of a crisis. My terrain had no networks, or there are no routes. It's in North America, and then you want to get the result they get. We can't even get the result Egypt is getting. Egypt as a nation has landmass like us, but they haven't got any forest anywhere.
Okay.
And so, even if you just mount cameras at different locations, the cameras can cover kilometers for you and give you reports.
All right, but
you can't do that here.
Yeah, there is a concern that the Nigerian military as a whole now, AFIs, in the end discovered that these persons who've been arrested have been released. For one reason or the other, they've been released back into the society, and because the faces of security, there is some levels of low morale within the military, within the ranks of the military and all of that. Do you agree to that?
Well, again, we still come back to something. Why is it that such people cannot be properly dealt with? Perhaps there are gaps in the laws.
Right.
So if we have the right information and the laws are amended appropriately, such issues that relate to law can then be dealt with.
All right.
So somebody is giving the National Assembly a bill. We need to do this now. Right? If they do not respond, of course, you now know at that point that some of them are possibly part of the sponsors of the insecurity. But until you identify the gap, so it's not just sufficient to blame, but it is more.
Are you there? Okay, well, we'll get back to you, but then let's quickly take this call. Hello, good morning.
Hello, Dr. Udwa.
Yeah, good morning to you, please. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Livingstone. I'm calling from Woodstead to here now.
All right, Livingstone, welcome aboard. Let's have you for 1 minute.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think one of the things that have affected us as a nation or as citizens is the elevation of certain values or principles above our corporate existence.
Okay.
And one of them is our nepotic tendencies and our craze for religion. If we are able to address these issues and together confront these issues that tend to deal with us as a nation, I think we can go very far.
Okay.
For instance, if there is this belief that my religion matters to me more than the peace of a nation or a one nation, then there's a problem. I have heard stories, although not proven yet, that terrorists are captured, and because the superior there is having inclination towards a particular religion or otherwise, he frees them because he thinks they are fighting a holy war or something like that. As a nation, we can never succeed against fighting insecurity if we do not put religion where it belongs.
All right.
If we will not put tendencies where they belong, I think we should look at them.
All right. Thank you so much, Livingstone, for that one, all the way from Wuse. And let's get back to you, Mr. Benedict. Are you there? Right.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Now let's give a conclusion. Let's give a close. In let's just say 2 minutes. I mean, the president, through the Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, right there, said that there are talks, to engage the international community are already jumping in. The U.S., of course, has been mentioned, but other countries have not been mentioned. First, do you think this is the way forward? In this regard, in fighting the insurgency? Let's just do that in 1 minute.
Well, school abduction is a global event,
right,
that the whole world is shocked at. Now, you will take note that with UNESCO and UNICEF, school children are considered critical assets.
Yeah.
So if they are critical assets, it means the school is critical infrastructure. And that means that both the school and the children has got to be protected. So with UNICEF interest, the whole world has interest in every child.
So is it a step in the right direction?
Yeah, so you cannot rule out involving them.
Okay.
Because things have happened in other places and there are experiences that they can share with us. There are things that there are information and resources that can be leveraged upon.
All right.
So this is a step in the right direction.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr.
It's a step in the right direction.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benedict Olalekan Agunloye, your information and professional policy and public affairs analyst. Thank you for your time. We'll get with you right in the coming days and have robust discussions with you too. Thank you so much. All right, and that is being our guest. But just before we leave, let's quickly take your messages via the WhatsApp portal. This one says, "Good morning. Our security problem is the weakness of the military to stage a sting operation. This is why the criminals have been embodied to continue to kidnap people, because they believe the military are too scared to react. Even when their own personnel is killed, our military hardly take the battle to the criminals. A solution is a combat standby military force to be on ground going after insurgents when they strike. You don't waste time to react in kidnap distress call. Day longer from the military to respond to distress security situations continue to make it difficult for the military to rescue the victims. If this government does not set up the needed response teams to handle kidnapped cases, Nigeria will continue to see more such cases. The NSA has to wake up and advise the government on how to go about defeating insurgency kidnappers." And this coming from Abbas all the way from Dutse right there, has taken And this one too, it says, good morning, Daniel. I'm not particularly concerned whether ransom is paid or not. My fear is that many of the students may not return back alive. Those bandits are not completely human, but half devil. All right, Tikimbe Hundu from Nasarawa State, thank you so much. And finally, good morning, Mr. Daniel. Good morning to you. This is James from Suleja. He says, it is saddening how every aspect of our national existence have now been politicized, including insecurity. The reality is that highly connected and placed individuals in the government are complicit. We all know the Nigerian military are more than capable of flushing out these criminals and ending the menace once and for all. But then, if they do, business ends for them. And then, when these terrorist bandits captured, they are given VIP treatment and then released back into the society in the name of having been rehabilitated. How will that deter others from discontinuing in the criminality and terrorist act? All right, James, thank you so much for that. And this can't take